Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday's webinar for the template project. This is Devin.
Hi, this is Ashley. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to get this week's webinar started with you guys.
So welcome. And for new writers, we'll go over some of the basics. But for veteran writers, just tune this part out if you've heard it before. Payments went out today, and how payments work is for the template project, there's two things. One is that payments go out every week. Hopefully we get them done on Tuesdays. Sometimes we have to wait till Wednesdays. And the payment schedule is as follows. So if you're a writer and you've been writing ads, maybe you joined at the end of May, all of the work that was approved up until June 2nd, so the previous Sunday, that gets paid out. So we pay out for work that was approved or ads that were approved by lead writers, written by you, by the previous Sunday. So in this case, it's Sunday, June 2nd. So say you're a writer and you joined June 3rd, you wouldn't have gotten paid this week because it's impossible for any of your ads to have been approved by June 2nd because you joined June 3rd. So just keep that in mind that we pay for all work completed up until the previous Sunday. New writers often think that they're going to get paid on Tuesday for all their work completed up until Tuesday. That's not the case. We have to do that to sort of balance our books so we know, or we can predict how much to pay out in the weeks to come. So don't worry, writers, if you're new, you will get your payment, but just know that we just pay up until the work completed up to the previous Sunday or work approved. And then for the bonus tier, because the writers are faster than QA, we are giving out a weekly bonus for writers that achieve a certain amount of ads. But if for whatever reason, say you wrote 200 ads, but only 100 were approved within a week, but 200 get approved eventually within that week, we'll make up for the difference at the end of the project.
Great. I think we have some new writers too also. So Tori, welcome back, Christy, and Alyssa. We're happy to have you guys. And then also you could use this side chat as we go along in our webinar to ask questions. And if the new writers have any questions when we're going along, some of the vet writers, if you have any advice or can answer those questions, go ahead and help them out. So you could use that chat tool for questions or comments as we go along. And I think we're just going to start off with the best ads that we saw this week that were really creative and popped. And we were talking about them, so then we put them in this PowerPoint to show you guys the best ads that we saw submitted this week.
Yeah, so we are trying to give you guys ideas of how to get the creative juices flowing, but also stay within the limits of writing a good ad for ad copy. These ads get served on Google and Bing and basically any search engine results page. When you write an ad, you want it to be really distinct and to the point, but creative. So these are examples of writers that did a pretty good job of that. So this category is for Cattery, which I did not know was a thing until I saw the category. But this is where you, I think, can house your cat or board your cat while you're away on vacation. So the writers here did a good job of, for the headlines, they put in Cattery and they put in stuff about cats. Visit our Cattery today, your cats deserve quality care, quality cat boarding, your cat deserves pampering. Like, these are pretty good headlines because they're telling the user exactly what the business is about, or the business within Cattery is about. Some headlines we've seen people be a little bit too flowery in their wording or a little bit over creative, but what the writer is missing if they do that is that people see headlines first when they see ads, and they're not going to understand what this business is about. If you just write a headline that's like, everything is wonderful and we're the best and we give the quality care to everything, and it is, if it's a kind of sounds very flowery or embellishing, somebody's going to just skim right over that ad because they're not going to get an immediate sort of understanding of what that business is trying to sell them. So please keep that in mind for headlines. They should be really direct and to the point. And that's what these writers did. They used the placeholders correctly. They said, location boarding. That makes sense because if a cattery in San Francisco wants to use that ad, they can just stick in San Francisco boarding and it'll make sense. A lot of people have been making the mistake of putting at in front of location, at. This does not make sense because if you say, only at San Francisco, at is not the right word to describe a location. It's in. These are going to be city names. So please do not put at location. We've actually had our client call us out for this. And so that's just going to be an immediate rejection because our client has told us that they will not tolerate grammatical errors like at location. So a couple other ones here, modeling school, name, be a model in location, achieve your dreams today. Our experienced teaching staff prepare our students for a variety of modeling fields. If you want to become a model, contact name to get started. Petting zoo for all ages. That's a good example of somebody saying something that's slightly specific, but it's like kind of like a no duh specification. Sometimes writers are writing ad copy that's too specific, where they're offering something that the business might not be able to live up to. But this is a good example of where they said, petting zoo for all ages. It's kind of like a no-brainer that anybody can go to a petting zoo, even though it's probably tailored more towards kids and families. But that's fine, that works. And then they continue on to say, thrill your whole family with a trip to our petting zoo, learn more about our animals, experience a wholesome day with your loved ones, petting our lovable pets, or animals, sorry. So, again, you can kind of assume things about the category, but just don't assume anything that's too specific. If you had said, oh, this petting zoo is open from 9 to 5 p.m., Thursday through Sunday, that's not every petting zoo in North America has those hours. So don't be specific in that sense. Keep it relevant to the category and just kind of, you can make assumptions. For example, make money modeling, I see on this other description. The whole point of getting into modeling is to probably make money from it. So again, that's okay to assume that. Let's see. Here are a few others: pet boarding and community garden, camping store. We'll send these out to you guys. Some, I think, writers for pet boarding I saw too, and maybe it wasn't pet boarding, it was maybe dog hotels or something. I say to use copy that's kind of like a no duh, but also try and make don't write copy that's like, sort of goes without saying. And what I mean by that is some people I think for the dog hotel wrote, we'll feed your dog while you're on vacation. And it's kind of like, yeah, I would hope that they would feed your dog while you're on vacation. Like that kind of goes without saying that the pet boarding service is going to feed the dog or feed the cat. So try to steer away from that. We're just going to assume that the boarding place is going to feed the dog. So instead you can, kind of write about, how the dogs are going to be loved and cuddled and walked and things like that. Or your pet is going to be happy and comfortable. Visit us for more information to learn about our boarding services. Our well-trained staff is going to take care of your pet. These are the things that users want to hear. They don't want to hear, oh, we'll feed your dog.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because it's kind of like, yeah, I hope they would feed the dog. And then this kind of goes along with a few other things that we've seen as far as like things for surgery or healthcare related things like cosmetic surgery. This person did a good job of writing that they have skilled cosmetic surgeons. Whether you're looking to enhance your features or reduce a problem area, we can help. Name features highly skilled surgeons with years of experience. We know that that's kind of like a no-duh, that surgeons probably have years of experience, so it's kind of okay to write that. What some people have been saying for categories like this, and actually for the attorney category, is we offer affordable services. That, again, is something that just doesn't make sense. Affordable is a word that's kind of being overused, and it's being applied to categories where things definitely are not affordable. Cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery is not affordable. Attorneys, not affordable. So we put these two specifically up here to show you how writers can write things without saying anything about the pricing or it being cost effective or affordable. That you can say things like years of experience, or that our legal team is ready to assist you and advocate for you, because those are kind of like no-brainers. Yeah, a lawyer should have years of experience. Yes, a surgeon probably should have years of experience, even though we know they all don't. But, it's kind of like a thing that users would feel more comfortable seeing or hearing. If you say something like, oh, this lawyer or the Social Security attorney is affordable, that's actually kind of misleading.
Yeah.
Because attorneys aren't affordable. So be really careful about affordable. We also saw something affordable being used around categories that were like kayaking and like boat rentals and things like that. And, like candle making, it's kind of like, for affordable, we kind of already have a price in mind of how much it takes to rent a kayak. We already have a kind of a price in mind of how much it takes to rent a paddle boat or something like that. Using affordable in certain categories, even though it probably is affordable to rent a kayak, it doesn't really make sense, because users kind of already know that they can probably afford to rent a kayak. So it's not really like a great value proposition for the business, because it kind of is like, again, goes without saying that if you want to rent a kayak, you can probably afford it. For the day, it's not going to be like hiring an attorney, but it just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I think these are just really good examples. Alyssa had a question. Sometimes she gets hit with change requests for being too specific, and then sometimes she gets hit with, oh, it's too generic.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we really collected these ads, because it's like the perfect mix of matching the category but not being too specific. Like, notice all the headlines in these examples. Skilled cosmetic surgeons, find us in. There's no great customer service or high quality goods, stuff like that, where it's kind of like fluff material. All these descriptions and headlines really match the category. And it's kind of a fine line between being too specific and being like generic. And once you get in the swing of it, you can kind of tell what goes through the platform and what gets approved. So these are just examples of really hitting those fine lines between matching the category and not being like too generic with the high quality, the affordable, those like fluff words that we've been saying.
And we'll send these out to you guys too. These were just our favorites of the week. And we see a lot of ads that are great. Don't think if you don't see your ad on here that we're like, not, we just don't have time to collect all of them. These ones just stood out. We'll keep doing this each week until the project finishes, where we'll send you guys what we saw. But, don't think that these are just the only ads that were approved this week or something like that.
It was just
They were
what
just
caught our
stood
eye
out to us.
after thousands of ads going through. And also I wanted to point out Community Garden. I don't know if Sarah's in this webinar, but she was one of our new writers a couple weeks ago. And she asked to get the PowerPoint sent to her and just seeing her from her first ads to now. We were so happy to see Community Garden, and she wrote, "Grass stains are welcome here. Help grow and maintain our budding community garden. Come roll up your sleeves and meet fellow community members as we beautify our town." That is amazing. Like, if an ad sells me when I'm reading it, I'm like, yes, I'm sending this to Devin. So I want to give a kudos to some of our new writers, because that's really awesome to see the growth and listening to our advice and really being open to learning new things and watching the guidelines. I know she's been in our webinars all the time and reading the guidelines and asking questions and really having a positive attitude. And that's really where you kind of thrive in the platform compared to writers who kind of just like don't look at the guidelines or are open to webinars and continuing to learn new things, because once you're open and to suggestions, you'll really grow in the platform. And then also we had a question about headline 1 and D2 start the same. I've been seeing this this week about like the name placeholders. I think it was on the second slide, the last slide. How in cosmetic surgery, it has a name placeholder as a first one and then name in the last one. We have been sending some of those back when it's like headline 1 and description 1, or description 1 and description 2, just because if it says Ashley's cosmetic surgery and then it starts Ashley's cosmetic surgery, it's repetitive and it doesn't look well as a cosmetic ad copy type. Just from a visual standpoint, it doesn't look very professional. And so that's why in this ad, it's okay, because it's kind of broken up by headline 2 and 3 and has another description 1 before it says the name again. So that's why that one would go through compared to just having name and name and name all next to each other. Oh, Sarah, she's here. I don't know if you heard, but we just gave you kudos to your community garden ad. We were really impressed with your improvement, and we really loved this one that said grass stains are welcome here. It was really cute and had a great selling point. So good job. We're really happy.
Good job, Sarah.
Woo! Do you guys have any more questions about the best ads we saw this week or anything else? I get it now. It's about the same phrase. Yep.
Perfect.
Just wanted to clear that one up because we saw a lot of people writing in about repetition. So woo. Sarah says, I struggled in the beginning and I felt like I learned a lot. Thank you for your help and examples. Well, thank you for being so positive, and it was really awesome to see you last week in the webinar ask for the examples that we collected, because I feel like just you showing that initiative really gave us like positive affirmation that you were willing to learn. So thank you so much for all your hard work. We were really impressed with your submissions this week. Okay, do you have anything? I kind of just wanted to go over some things that I saw this week in QA for tickets. So I just want to say, first of all, that QA is speeding up. We've taken a lot of measures to help speed it up because we do have thousands in QA and you guys do write a lot every day. So we've taken measures to help speed up QA. So thank you for your patience on that. And your submitted ad should be looked at very shortly. So just hang tight on that because we're getting to them. It's going to get a lot faster. And then you'll see your potential earnings go to paid earnings more quickly. Just some little housekeeping things that I wanted to go over. For the past, when you're writing an ad, some people have gotten a little more complicated again. And I would say just keep it as simple as you can using the keywords. There's a lot of contact us underscore now and multiple words in the path. You could just do the keyword and keep it as simple as possible. Keep it as easy as possible for you. Another thing I wanted to go over was rejections. Now we're at a point in the project, we're not onboarding any new writers as of this week. And for a lot of veteran writers, some people have written in, oh, I only made one large spelling error in the ad. And we cannot take the risk of that having to go through to Microsoft as we present this final project. And so if you have only one major spelling error, only one grammar error, we cannot risk that going through. And we have thousands of ads to go through a day. So just because you have one error and it's a big one, we're gonna have to just reject it because we don't have time to go back and forth, especially for writers who have been in the system. So to combat that on the writer's side, I would really, really encourage you guys to just take the extra 20 seconds and read your ad out loud and just go through it and make sure that it sounds okay, it's easy to read, it matches the category, and it really meets our best practices and the guidelines. And that will really help cut down on the change requests and rejections. We're also working on a timer to help extend the time, the writing time. So right now we're at 10 minutes. Usually it takes 2 to 3 minutes to write an ad for veteran writers. If you just take an extra minute to review it, it will really help cut down on those change requests. Also, another thing that I saw was we've had an increase in slang terms in our ad copy. So for one of the categories, I think it was snowboarding, and they wrote Sendy, get Sendy in the pow pow. And I was like, wait, what does this mean? And I guess it was like a slang term, but if I can't understand it as just thinking of the general population who will see this ad, I'm going to change request it or reject it because it has to be common used words, and slang words just can't be an ad copy, especially when we're being like, we have to cater toward the category and cater toward the general public. That is not okay. Also, brand names and using specific people in ads are not okay because these need to be generic. So I think we had someone talk about Katniss Everdeen in one of the ads, and that was just
For archery.
for archery, yeah, which is really creative and awesome, but that's just an example of it going a little too creative, a little too far. So no brand names or specific people could be in the ad. Just wondering, if I get too many change requests, will I be let go? No, but it just depends on your attitude, your willingness to learn. If we see improvement in your ads, if you attend the webinars, like Sarah said before, when she first started, she was struggling, and we saw, hey, she asked if she could have the creative ads we saw. She reached out a lot. She was really open to our feedback. So if we see that positivity and that engagement and we see your ads improving, you will not be let go. But if you accumulate like a lot of change requests and they start turning into rejections, that's when we would kind of take a look at your overall submissions. What about well-known people like Einstein or Robin Hood? I mean, I would just play it safe and keep it more generic and not name specific people. That's just like best practices for ad copy. And it will just make it easier on you to get your ad through faster and get your potential earnings. Also, if we have some new people in here, a lot of people were asking about the next button on the bottom, the submit button was not showing up. And I think we got like 4 tickets about this, and that just means you're not meeting the needs of the ad. So you're not meeting the character count, there's a spelling error, actually it will still go with a spelling error because the dictionary, some words aren't in our dictionary. But that just means that the character count is not fulfilled, and also some people weren't filling out the pass. So that's what happens when the next button doesn't pop up. Oh yeah, the potential earnings, there's a bug. If you cap out at 200, that's just a visual bug. So your potential earnings are probably more than 200. It just stops at 200 to show you, because we never had that many people write above 200, but your earnings are still going. So we do have a ticket to fix that so you could see your potential earnings if you are over 200. Thanks for asking. That's a good question. Yes, Alyssa, you don't want to make your job harder. Just make it easy on yourself. I wrote dog hospital but they kept your dog well fed. Yeah, thanks, Anna. That's great.
Yeah,
I love that positivity too. That's another thing that I wanted to talk about this week. We got a lot of support tickets that were kind of aggressive and just writing to us all in all caps and kind of using not very nice language and stuff like that. And for me and Deb, we really make the guidelines and the webinars to help you guys to give a platform for you to ask questions so you could get better and make more money and use your time wisely in the platform. So we take the time to make these tools to help you guys. And the support at boostmedia.com is really a way for you guys to communicate with us if you're having a dire need problem. And when we get support tickets that are like screaming at us and using all caps and rude language, it's really difficult for us to get to those requests when it's kind of like we are trying to help you so much, but then when these tickets come in, it's like, whoa, like we kind of take a step back and look at that. So I just wanted to address that. If you really have a question or a support ticket that's not in the guidelines or not in our previous webinars, please reach out to us, but in a nice, kind manner. Thanks. We're using an American dictionary for just an English dictionary. If a template type includes location, it is repetitive that I use based in. I mean, Sarah, if you say based in or changed up serving in, look, I think that should be fine, as long as you're not saying based in location for every single ad in that ad group. That should be fine.
Oh, tips and tricks on. So Ben is asking, stick with one topic, it goes faster, but I'm having trouble being creative enough for 5 to 10 ads. Any advice on making them different enough? Yeah, that's a good question. I have 2 pieces of advice. One is if you're really just starting to sound like you're repeating yourself, I would jump out and try a different category, and then come back to that category if it's still there and you want to write for it. Or if you're having trouble coming up with copy, I would Google the category and just kind of play around with the pages. So for example, like the one I was just writing for was blow dry services. I'm not sure if we're going to see any ads for these, but basically you can even like Yelp reviews, you can just see what Google or Bing comes up with. So, if there's words that catch your eye, like hairstyling, luxurious, gorgeous blowouts, flawless looking hair, style for every occasion. sometimes I'll just grab ideas from the search engine results page and then incorporate them into my ad, especially if it sounds like I've been saying, say I've been saying gorgeous too much. I keep saying like, gorgeous blowouts and, wonderful dry bar for hairstyling, and I'm kind of noticing that I'm starting to repeat myself. I'll just see maybe what other people have said on the web and kind of use their copy. Make sure you don't use anything that's too specific to a certain salon. So if there's like a blow dry place that offers nails and makeup, we don't want to say that. But you can pull out stuff like, for bridal parties, bachelorettes and more, or any special occasion. You can it's okay to list out what the service, why you might use the service, as long as you keep it open-ended, and you can kind of say something like, and more, or for any special occasion, or something like that. You wouldn't want to say like, I'm going to go to this, the blow dry service bar for my wedding. Like, that's just too specific.
That was a good question, Ben. And sometimes, it might seem like you're copying and pasting just because you're in the category and you've written 12 ads for that one category. And you might be doing it like subconsciously, like located in. I saw like someone say competent lawyer, competent for like 5 headlines in a row. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. Because from our viewpoint, when we delivered to Microsoft, it's all on an Excel sheet. So like all those categories are all next to each other, and you could easily run a script and it looks like all those ads, all those headlines for that category are exactly the same. And they're looking for unique ad copy. And that's why we say like, don't copy and paste, or basically don't repeat yourself, because it can get difficult to write 18 ads for one category. So that's why we really encourage you, if you feel like you're stuck, just hit done and scroll down, because we have hundreds and thousands of other categories below it, and we add new categories every day. So that's a good question, Ben.
Yeah, and that brings us to a good point too. So especially for the new writers, you might see us do like a little bit of shorthand when we do change requests and even rejections, where we might say copy paste, and then new writers sometimes are like, well, I didn't copy and paste from like the example ad, I don't understand what they mean. And it could mean that you're copy and pasting yourself. The word really should be repetition, but in the system it's labeled as copy and paste. So if you do get that change request, it's like you're copy and pasting your own elements of your ad over and over and over again. We'll ask you to change it, or eventually, just reject them. And then also sometimes we'll refer to like H1, H2, H3, or D1 or D2, and this correlates to the headlines and the description lines. So if we just say, H1 change or something like that, that's us just kind of going through, trying to get through QA pretty quickly. And by H1, we mean headline 1, or description 2, we just might be like D1 grammar. And we're kind of hoping that you'll pick up on your grammar mistake. We try and write out as best we can the change request, so it's like, you are missing a comma here, but sometimes we got to just get through these, so we're not spending too much time. We got so many ads to get through. And as Ashley said too, the paths, these have gotten a lot better, but I'm still seeing some writers repeat themselves. So for like example, this boat towing services, someone might be like boat tow, and then they might be like boat
I've seen that
service, and there's no need for that. You're actually just making your life harder. All you really need is boat towing. Like that's
next.
it. Move on. Yeah. People are taking a little bit too much time with the paths. Paths are really just a cosmetic piece of the ad that's not really telling us anything. It's really just meant to sort of append a URL, and kind of, it's almost like a keyword where it's just getting straight to the point of what the category is in very shorthand. But the meat of the ad really is in the headlines and then the descriptions. Paths, don't overthink it. And don't think you have to do a call to action statement too. I've seen something like this, like call our boat, like towers or whatever, towing services. And it's like, no.
Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Don't think you need to do a call to action there. That's really reserved for the copy itself. And that's another change request you might get from us as well. We'll say CTA, or that's short for call to action. And that really means that there's something off with your call to action statement. And a call to action statement is really just any line in the copy that's telling the user to do something. So for example, if you say hire our towing services, that's a good call to action for this because it's saying what the user should do. They should hire the boat towing services. Some call to actions don't make sense for certain categories. So for the boat towing service, if you said make an appointment online, boat towers probably don't want you to make an appointment online. Maybe they do. Maybe if it's through like a municipal service or something like that. But let's probably stay clear and stay safe with call to actions and make them kind of no-does as well. Contact our towing services for more information is fine. If it's an old boat sitting in your yard, maybe you want to get an estimate of the cost and all that stuff, call for estimates. That's all fine. Just make sure it's relevant to the copy, the copy is relevant to the category. So, if it's not if it's a retailer, you wouldn't want to say, make an appointment. Or if it's in a restaurant, you wouldn't want to say, call us for our menu options. Well, in this day and age, nobody's going to call a restaurant and be like, hey, can you please read off the menu? Yeah, what are your specials? You would just go online. You could say, call us about making a reservation, or call us tonight so we can squeeze you in or something like that.
Or about like hours or something.
Yeah, hours of operation. These things make more sense for a restaurant. So be careful with call to action statements because sometimes we'll send back change requests and just be like, hey, this CTA, call to action CTA, does not make sense for this category. And sometimes we'll shorthand that and we'll just say CTA. We'll say like D1 CTA, which, if you're a new writer, you could be like, what are these letters that she's just throwing back at me? It'll be kind of confusing, but we really just mean like in your description line 1, you have a problem with your call to action statement.
Also, I want to say that change requests are just shouldn't be taken like personally or like offensive. Like we got a lot of support tickets like I meant this, blah blah blah, and like we could see where you're coming from. Like we understand that like you took the time to write, but when we're going through thousands of ads a day and going yes, no, change, that's kind of like how our mindset is working. And so I wouldn't take a change request personally. We're just giving you a couple chances to learn the system and learn what works and what doesn't, and another chance to fix your ad. And that's kind of where we're coming from with change requests.
So Gary has a question. So for path 1 and 2, they're not always the keywords. They don't always have to be, but it's probably a safe bet to use the business category name. And if the keyword is related to the category name, like this one's betting centers, they're most likely going to be the same. Just use betting centers. Oops. I'm using my title case today. So betting centers, that's it. If it's something really long, like this banking entrance coaching center, man, I'd have to look up what that one is. I would just do coaching center.
Or banking center. Just keep it easy and simple on yourself.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Also, I wanted to point out, I don't know if a lot of writers knew this, but a little trick when you're writing a description, sometimes I see that you guys run out of like characters, or are having a little trouble with that, if you need an extra tip to get the character count right and fit everything in, you can use the and symbol to help you when writing. So if you're off, yeah, that one. So if you're off by like 2 spaces and you're like, no, this is the perfect sentence, I love it, you could use that symbol to replace just and.
Yeah, like coaching and education center. That fits.
Perfect. But if you did just and the normal way,
you might run out of room.
Just a little tip. Ampersand, yes, thank you. Cool. I also wanted to point out corporate lawyers, if you could find that category. There was a lot of lawyer categories this week, and some of the descriptors weren't fitting the category. So like using like awesome or affordable. Might be on the bottom. I uploaded 50 new cases today, so there's going to be more. Yeah, that's why. There's going to be more categories for you guys to write, and I think they just dropped right now. But for a corporate lawyer, some people were saying like awesome lawyer near you and affordable lawyer, and that is definitely not matching the category because I've never met an affordable lawyer in my life. So I just wanted to go over this as an example. So, and this is a location only ad. We could do my favorite 1-2 write technique. So template type, we see its location. So let's just get that out of the way first and do the location first. The second part, we would look at the example, usually on the right-hand side, but there is no example. So we could just get started because the category is pretty self-explanatory. So we'll start with location, placeholder. And so you just want to do brackets. Perfect. And then for headline 2,
I think you're just going to have to do law.
So that would be like San Francisco law. Headline 2, we could do skilled business lawyer because that matches the category. And then headline 3, I found this using the Google technique, protect your rights today. I just Googled corporate lawyer and I saw protect your rights today. And I was like, wow, that matches the category, but it's not too specific. So that's where I got that, protect your rights today.
Not protect your tights.
Yeah, not tights. And then for the description, I could just say, we offer fast, efficient legal advice for your business. And then call to action that matches category, get a consult. Or call today would work too. And then for description 2, we could say responsive attorneys in location placeholder are ready to help you or something like that. And it would be in location, not at location, because you wouldn't say at San Francisco, you're in San Francisco, and that's really important that we get that down too. And so this is just an example of how you could cater to the category, but not being too specific, avoiding fluff words like high quality lawyers or affordable lawyers, skilled business lawyer, that's a good one, protect your rights. So you're still catering to the category, but being creative, and this would get approved in no time. Also, for the new writers, just remember that you need punctuation in your descriptions. Sometimes that's easy to forget when you're in like the zone. And then past, we could keep it really simple and just do corporate lawyer, done, submit, next. Do you guys have any advice on how to get through your ads, or what motivates you? What makes it easier to write multiple ads?
Oops.
Yep. And then so if we're in QA, this is how I QA. I look at the template type, location. Okay, we have the placeholders. I look at the category. Okay, they're talking about lawyers. Everything has a period, no repetitive words, done, approve. And that's how we the way you write it, looking at the template type and the category is kind of how we QA it. We look at the template type, category, look for spelling, grammar, done. Easy as that. Did you guys have any technical questions about writing ads or any change requests that you got that you wanted to talk about? Both the descriptions are starting with R. Is that allowed?
Yeah, it probably wasn't my best move. I probably would avoid that.
Responsive attorneys maybe would be a better one.
Yeah, I should have just said, because I was trying to use location, but I said responsive attorneys. I should have just stuck to that and taken out R.
Good catch, Anisha. But yeah, also the Google technique is really helpful when, like Ben said, when he gets stuck on a category and he's at 10 plus ads for corporate lawyer, it is easy to get stuck in a rut of things you've already said. So just Google the category really quick and find a generic copy that meets the category and is not too specific, and that will help you push through if you want to really stay in that category. And we uploaded some really fun categories today. I saw as I was dropping in, there was like flower shop and florist. So there's some fun ones in there that you could write for today. And just for the new writers who are joining us for this webinar, that our goal really is to have our writers do between 50 and 100 ads a day. And that's pretty much what our writers are doing now. Our goal is to do 2,000 a day. So if you have once you get it down, you could write an ad like Devin here. She's writing it and she could get it done
Pretty quickly.
in 3 minutes.
Any other questions?
Or any advice from our vet writers to our new writers? I saw you guys were using they said they use the thesaurus, I can't say.
Thesaurus.
Yeah. Brain fart, to help them get creative and get new words, which is really good advice too.
My title case is terrible today. Oh my gosh, did I leave out the location? Nope.
Okay,
Good.
very important.
Oh. possessive is in the wrong place. Also, sometimes too, if you notice that you're writing something and then it comes back and says you have a spelling error, like there I did have a spelling error, but if you know that it's not a spelling error, just keep going. If the next button, is highlighted in blue, that means your ad is submittable. Sometimes new writers will write in, and especially for kind of more proper nouns like HVAC or I don't know, like iPad or iPhone and things like that. The dictionary might not understand those because it's just a robot. It's just an AI system. So if you know that, iPad is the correct word to use and you've done it correctly and spelled it correctly, just hit next. All right, guys. Ashley, anything else?
Do you guys want to see any, for the new writers, do you guys want to see any more examples or have any questions about it? This is your time to ask. If you want any more examples or you think you got the hang of it, for our vet writers, keep up the good work. You guys have been doing great. We really want to hit the goal of 2,000 ads a day. So once you hit that, I will send out a happy, woo, good job email. So keep up the good work. And if you want to see a couple more examples, we could do that. And then we'll send out the PowerPoint of the best ads we saw this week. And then we'll do the same thing for next week of the most creative submissions we saw. Oh, perfect. I'm glad that helps, Nicole. Thanks for that feedback. All right, guys, so we're going to be hosting this webinar next Wednesday, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much.
Brianna, the Boost Media website's always up, so you should be able to work on these whenever you want. Sandy, yes, we always post the webinar on the wiki page, so we'll send out the link as well.
All right, great, guys, and happy writing.
Woo! Thanks, y'all.